started recording. So today we are going to discuss about Sqoop. So we are going to see what is a Sqoop and what is the functionality of the Sqoop and how it will work. Okay, so let's try to understand what is a Sqoop and how it will work and why we need a Sqoop. Why we need a Sqoop. Okay, so Sqoop is a tool. Sqoop is a tool which will use to which is used for to download. I can say instead of download, I can say to import the data from RDBMS to HDFS. Not only importing, you can also export the data to RDBMS from HDFS. Right? 1 second, guys. People are pinging me. Yeah, please join. Okay. So you can import the data. You can also export the data. So you can do import. You can also export the data. Not only that, you can also do some more operations because Sqoop come up with some more beautiful options where you can where you can perform other queries as well on top of it. So let's try to understand what is a Sqoop. A Sqoop is a tool to download or to import the data from RDBMS. Let's assume that I have a data in RDBMS. I have a data in RDBMS and I have some table here. I have some table here. The table is like ID, name, salary, department. So let's say it's an employee table. It's an RDBMS. And I have a HDFS here. I have a HDFS here. So when we say HDFS, I'll just drop like name node and cluster this HDFS architecture. I have a HDFS here. It's a name node, and these are the data nodes. Now I want to get the data from here to here. I want to get the data from RDBMS to HDFS. So to do that operations, we have a tool called Sqoop. We have a tool called Sqoop. As I remember, the school has been designed and developed at the cloud era. I mean, I'm not sure. I think I have read somewhere sometime before. This is a tool from the cloud era, I think. All right. So what it will do when you want to import the data, from RDBMS to HDFS, the Sqoop is given some tools. Sqoop is given some tools, or you can say commands, which are import. You can also do export, and you can also do like eval. You can also do like list tables, list database. There are some other tools are there. Now let's talk about the import. So I want to explain the functionality of the Sqoop by taking the example of the import command. To import the data from RDBMS to HDFS or RDBMS to any other system, to import or export a data from RDBMS to any other system, we need something called driver. We need something called driver. The requirement is like we need something called driver, and we need something called connector. Here, to import the data from RDBMS to HDFS, we will write some query. I'll just write some sample query here because I want to explain very detail how it will work internally. Sqoop import, how it will connect to the RDBMS. We have to specify that connection URL. Connect JDBC URL will be using JDBC URL. JDBC driver, MySQL, :/ wherever your RDBMS is running, that IP address. So wherever your RDBMS service is running, that IP address. So normally we'll say localhost and the port number. So if this is the default port number, either you can give the port number or you can ignore the port number. And we'll be executing these commands from the Linux environment. For the line break, we'll use the \. Line break means, suppose if you want to write a single statement in the multiple lines, we will use the line break, that is the slash, or you can write in the single line as well, no problem at all in it. And you have specified the connection URL. This is connection URL, and you want to import the data. No, you have to specify here DB name. Let's say I'll say DB1. Which database? In one RDBMS system, we may have a multiple databases. So what are the database you want to import? Whatever the database you are, the data you want to import from which database, you need to specify that database, and you need to specify the username and password, because we need authentication. No? So you should have to connect that, we'll be having username and password. Let's say by default I'll be using root because I'm not changed my password. I can also use it here only. I don't want to use a line break. -- password. If you don't like to give here, if you feel security, we have other options as well here. And I'll specify table. Which table you want to import? Let's say I want to import employee table. So I'm not specifying, there are some other options. I'm not specifying them because this is very simple demonstration. Now, as soon as you execute this command, what it will do? We are using a Sqoop. In that, I'm using a tool called import tool. As soon as I execute it, what it will do? It will use the connection URL. It will use the driver and connector. To talk to the database. So the driver, the connector should be available in your Sqoop library. The Sqoop library, wherever you have installed the Sqoop, right? In the Sqoop library, the connector should be available. Suppose if you're using MySQL, the MySQL connector. Vendor wise, the connector will be there. If you're using Teradata, you'll be having different. If you're using Oracle, you'll be having your driver. It will use the driver and connection URL to talk to RDBMS, like to connect to RDBMS. And also it requires username and password to get it. It requires the username and password. It will take the username and password and it will connect to the database. I can say RDBMS, and it will try talk to metadata of whatever the table you have specified. Metadata of employee, because I want to import employee table, that's why I'm taking employee here. It will try to talk to, it will try to read, it will try to understand the metadata of employee. What is the metadata? Metadata contains, let me write it here, like a table name, columns, and column data types, and it will be having any primary key constraints, right? Any foreign key constraints. All this information will be available in your metadata. We'll try to understand the metadata. After understanding the metadata, it is connected using JDBC, right? It's connected using JDBC. After understanding the metadata, it will start creating Java code. I can say it will start generate the Java code. And after generating the Java code, it will compile the code and it will generate the .class file. And after class file is generated, it will create jar file. So reading the metadata, using that metadata, internally your tool will generate, ideally it's a mapper code. We'll say MapReduce framework code, which is required to launch a job. Okay. because we not yet discussed about the MapReduce. That's why I didn't bring it. It will create the Java code to download the data, and it will compile that code and will generate the class file, and it will bundle it. It will archive to jar file, because it will be launching as a Java archive. The job will be executed as a Java archive. So sir, you are telling that it will create a java.java.class.jar. What will be the class name? The class name is as similar as your table name. As similar as your table name. As similar as your table name. After creating that jar file, the jar file will be executed. The jar file will be executed. The job will be launched. Once the job is launched, the data will start importing to HDFS, or I mean our HDFS. It will start import the data into our HDFS. So your Sqoop connected to RDBMS using your JDBC URL, and it's logged in. Whatever the table you want to import, is trying to understand the table, and you start downloading the data into your HDFS. Here Sqoop is by default, it uses the parallelism to download the data. It will download the data in the parallelly. It will not download in the sequential. The whole table will start downloading into parallelly, like parallel tasks will launch and will start downloading it. So the default parallelism is 4. So we'll call them as a mapper. The default mappers are 4. It means, suppose if we have 100 records in this, suppose if we have 100 records on this, so 25 records will process by one mapper, another 25 will be processed by another mapper. It means I'm just giving you an idea. So it will divide the data into 4 parallel processes. How it will divide the 4 parallel processes? How your Sqoop knows? How your Sqoop knows how many records are there in the table? How your Sqoop knows what are the records has to go to the mapper 1? What are the records has to go to mapper 2? What are the records has to go rest of the mappers? How your Sqoop know? So when it is reading your metadata, your Sqoop will understand what is the primary key column in this. What is the primary key column in this? Let's take a positive scenario, guys. It has a primary key which is the ID. Let's say. Okay. So now it will identify the primary key from where? From the metadata of the specific table. From metadata of the specific table. Now when it knows that there is a primary key column in this table, it will start launching, it will execute a query. Your Sqoop will launch a query in your table. That query we can call as a boundary query. What is that query? The query is, it will select the min value and max value. Min value and max value of the ID. Then it will find how many records are there. Based on the number of records, it will launch the parallelism. Based on the number of records, it will take the minimum value, it will get the maximum value. So obviously it will understand how many records are there. So based on the number of records, the parallel jobs will be launched. So the query, whatever the query it is generating, select minimum on ID, comma maximum ID from employee. When the query, whatever the query it will launch, the query will call boundary query. That query we will call boundary query. So that based on that boundary query, it will start fetch the records and put into the HDFS. Sir, you didn't specify any directory here, any location here. The destination you didn't specify. Where it will go, where it will store. So by default, from where you are executing, from which terminal, in the terminal, which are the location you are executing the Sqoop command. So the directory will be created in HDFS. Let's say by it's user. Let's say it is user. I'm executing from user. I'm executing the Sqoop command from user. So inside the user, it will create a table called, directory called employee Inside the employee, you will be having 4 different part files, part-m files. Why it is M? Because it's just a copying. It is just a copying. It will copy the records from RDBMS to HDFS. So only mapper is required. We don't need a reducer. So I know most of the guys might understand the terminology called mappers and reducers. So it will not launch a reducer. It will launch only mappers to copy the data in it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show the some of the commands and explain how they're working. So this is how internally it works. So let me repeat one more time for the who joined late. The Sqoop is a tool which is meant to download or import and export the data from RDBMS to HDFS and vice versa. Okay, how it will work? To connect to the RDBMS, it uses the to connect to the RDBMS, it uses driver, JDBC driver, and a connector. Based on the which connector we are going to use, that connector we have to place into Sqoop library. Making use of that connector and making use of the JDBC driver, it will go and connect. How it will connect? Who has to tell to the connect? So the developer has to tell this is the driver, this is the location where my RDBMS service is running, and this is the port number, and this is the database I need to fetch. This is the database I need to fetch. You go ahead and connect to the database and fetch, whether you want to fetch one table or whether you want to fetch all the tables, whether you want to fetch only specific columns. You have to specify in your script, your Sqoop script, or you can say Sqoop command. You will specify them, and based on that, it will go and talk to which table it has to talk to. It will go and talk to the respective tables metadata. It will go and talk to respective tables metadata. It will understand the metadata. After understanding the metadata, it will generate the Java code. It will generate the Java code and compile and execute the Java code. It will compile and execute the Java code. As soon as this Java code is getting executed, there will be 4 parallel tasks will launch for download the data or to import the data. 4 parallel tasks will launch to import the data, and will start importing the data to a respective location like HDFS. This is about Sqoop. This is how the Sqoop works internally. To work that, it uses the JDBC driver. It needs the username password. To connect to the database, we need a username password. So it will make use of that. Any doubts still here? Any doubts? So let me connect to my Ubuntu machine, my Linux machine.
Hello, Veera. I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead, Anil.
Suppose the transaction is going on and in the table, the record is still through the any process we are inserting the record in the table.
Yeah.
So how it will take the maximum number of the how it will calculate the number of the rows?
Yeah, so yeah, I do remember that one of our mate asked this question. I think Dheeraj asked this question
Yes.
sometime before. Even I have answered him that time. See here, as soon as it's launched, as soon as the query is executed, you got the what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value. Okay, at the
Correct.
time when it is executing, it got the minimum value and maximum value. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
later after getting the minimum and maximum value, if we start inserting the new records, it will not consider the new records. So only whatever the records has been, whenever the query has been, the boundary query has been executed, at that time whatever the records has been, whatever the values has been considered, only those values will be taken care, and only those values will be taken care.
Okay. And one more thing regarding the connector or the driver classes, do we can put those things in directly library folder? I mean the
Uh,
where we have installed the Sqoop.
yes, inside the Sqoop, in the Sqoop library, we need to keep the connector class, the connector
Okay, so we directly copy those
connectors.
jars
Yes,
there and it will work, right?
correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, so the Sqoop uses map only job to Sqoop uses map only job to import the data. It cannot connect. Any other doubts, guys? I'm just connecting a terminal. I'm making little bigger screen to make it visible to everyone.
Hi Veera, I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead, Samir.
Just you said that when it connect to the RDBMS,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it create 4 jobs
Mm-hmm.
to execute the query.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
What are the 4 jobs that, what are the function of 4 jobs that, why these jobs need to be there?
So it has to import the data to HDFS, right? So there is
Correct,
someone has to read the records from RDBMS and put right into the HDFS, right? Someone has to read
correct,
the records, right? So who will read that?
correct.
The reading is done by these 4 jobs. Why
Okay,
only
so
4?
this is
Why 4? Because by default they come up with the 4 parallel processes. It can be done with a
a,
single also. You can also control it. You can also control. You don't want to 4. You want to only 1. You can also specify that 1. We'll see those options in the no now.
so the specific function of this job is to read and write from RDBMS to SDFS.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Veera, one more thing regarding the number of the mapper. Currently, it is the default mapper is 4.
Mm.
So, can we increase the number of mapper because there can be million of record and
Yes,
we
yes, that's
may
what.
require the.
It is a configurable value. You can specify any number of values you want. I mean, based on the resources available.
Okay. Okay.
So let's see. Okay, let me see. Is there any other questions? Okay, so let's connect mine. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, a question to you guys. To run my Sqoop, do I need my Hadoop's running? To run my Sqoop, do I need to run my HDFS?
Yes, Veera, I guess because uh, uh, we need to create a uh, the text file or whatever file we uh, from the RDMS to HDFS.
Mhm. So is that mandatory?
Yes, I'm guessing. I mean,
It
it should
requires
be.
resources. Yeah, it is required
Okay, let's
because when
try.
it runs the mappers on the backend, right? So when it runs the mappers, it requires. I mean, we have to have it up and running.
Okay, very good. So let's try. So I'm going to do the same thing. My services are not running. Any of the services not running. Let's try with it. I'm just showing you a Sqoop version. So I'm using Sqoop 1.4.6. I'm not using the Sqoop 2. There is the latest Sqoop 2. I really didn't go through the document. So I will go through it and I'll come back. If anything is new or if there will be some, obviously there will be something new in that. I'll I'll update you guys. Okay. Now, as I said, Sqoop has given you Sqoop has given you some tools I told you, right? Beautiful tools. What are they? So these are the tools. Eval, export, create hive table. We'll talk about this later because we not yet cover the hive. And import, importing a specific table. Import all tables. Import mainframe, importing the data sets from the mainframe server to HDFS. You have something called job. We can create a Sqoop jobs. You can list out all the databases. You can list out all the tables and specific database, and you can merge. You can see the meta store. You can explicitly run the meta store. the meta store can be explained while we are discussing about a Sqoop job. And version, right? Let's try with the very simple very first query eval, or you can try with the list databases. I just want to try with eval. List database is nothing. So now Sqoop eval, it means I'm going to evaluate what I'm going to evaluate. Connect jdbc colon mysql colon / local host, because my in the same machine only my MySQL services are running, or my RDBMS service is running, / I don't need to specify the port number. By default it will consider the 3306 as the port number, because the MySQL service will be running in that port. If you want, you can specify explicitly. So I'm going to evaluate some query here, hyphen username, because I have to give a username to connect. My RDBMS. In this case, my RDBMS is root. My username is root. I'm breaking my Linux line into multiple lines. So see, you can see that instead of showing you a dollar mark, it is showing you greater than, because it is allowing you to type some more, continue the same line. The root. So I'm going to evaluate. So to evaluate, either you can use -e to pass query. Okay. So now I didn't connect it to. I didn't run my HDFS services. So the specific reason, when you want to import, that time only we need our RDBMS. I can say HDFS and or MapReduce services. Okay, so for just evaluating, to just connect to the RDBMS and see some operations, to just update the RDBMS, some tables. So not only querying your list, only databases, you can also query anything here. You can update the data. You can create a database. Let me create a new database here. So this retail underscore DB, the sample DB, retail underscore DB, sample test and Sqoop tests are my databases, and the rest of things are the system by default they created. My meta store is from the Hive. Okay, information schema, MySQL and performance, these are the system tables, and these are the retail underscore DB, sample test and Sqoop test I have created, and the retail underscore DB I have created from the Cloudera. So Cloudera by default the Sqoop will come with retail underscore DB, and from there I have generated the Sqoop, the script from the what you call from the database. The script I have put it into some specific file .sql file. That script I have executed here. Okay, so let's talk here. Let's go ahead and create. I'm going to create a new database here. Create database CCA 175. Create database CCA 175. Let's start execute, whether it will execute or not. Okay, it's clearly telling that evaluate Sqoop tool has been, one record has been updated. These are all called, some people will call as the commands as I shown above. Some people will call as the commands. Actually they are tools. Actually they are background, the Java code will be executed. Okay, you can see here clearly. So there is something called tool.eval Sqoop tool, eval SQL tool. So it has been called at the background. It has been called at the background. One second, guys. Okay, I just got a call. Okay, so now I have created database. Let's check whether the database has been created or not by using Sqoop. CCA 175 has been created. CCA 175 has been created. Okay, so that is the one of the tool which is evaluate. So not only -e, one second guys. Not only -e, you can give here -query, -query, -query. So it will list out. As I shown before, if you see the help, these are the tools are available. If you want to complete help, Sqoop, let's assume that I need help for export hyphen help, press enter. It shows you whatever the options it can implement along with this. It will show you all of this, but it looks little odd, right? You have to go up and come down like that, right? I don't want to do like this. I want to keep it in a specific file. How will I do? We already have seen this sometime before in some of the other sessions. You use greater than symbol, say user local. I already have a file. Inside the help, you can say scoop export help.txt. I'm just creating this file. Press enter. It will not display anything in the console. It will just put all this data into this. So whether it's whether this data is available here or not, I need to see, right? How will I see? You can use either cat command or you can use either vi command, whichever is comfortable you are. So you can see here like this. Or if you have a UI, you can go ahead, log into your respective machine, go to that specific path, whatever the path you have were accessing before, whatever the path you have created, go to the specific path. You can see scoop export help. You can go ahead and open this and look at this. This is the help file. This is the help file. Okay, this is usage is scoop export usage. This usage is for the scoop export. Okay, so you can connect scoop export along with the scoop export. What are the options you can use? These are the options that you can use. Each option is a self-explanatory. Okay, only few things need a special what you call explanation. So anyway, I'll take care of that in the regular class. Okay, so export directory from where you want to export, and you can specify -m. If you see, it's a single character, right? Like if it's something is single character, it will just come with a one hyphen. If it is a it's kind of 2-3 words or multiple words, you'll see hyphen, two hyphens will be there, or a single word or more than one word. Okay, so here job name, and you can specify which table you want to export, and there is something called update key if you want to update the new records and existing while exporting it. So I'm not going to detail about the export. I'm just showing you how to see your the help commands, how to see the help commands. Okay, this is how you can see your help commands. Sorry, any doubt till here? Okay, let's go ahead and import one database or one table. So before that, we should understand what are the data. I mean, in the table, what are the data is available. So for that, again, I want to use the Sqoop tool only. I do not want to log into MySQL. I can say, because I'll use the retail underscore DB, because retail underscore DB has some data in it. Okay, so here I'll specify show tables. So these are the tables are available. Not only this, guys, there is one more option for you. Sqoop list hyphen databases hyphen connect. You have to specify your JDBC : MySQL localhost. If you want to give, you can give that as well. and slash. You want to specify the list databases. When you say list databases, you no need to specify the specific database name here. Hyphen hyphen username, hyphen hyphen username. So how to count username? My username is root, hyphen hyphen password. It's a root, and I just want nothing else I need to pass because I just want to know only list all the databases. I don't need to specify anything else. Press enter. So it is shown you list of the databases. The only difference is for the list databases and whatever you have executed previous command. In the previous eval command, you can evaluate any type of query, but when you use the list databases, it will just list out the databases, nothing else it will do. In the eval, you have a option, you can do anything else. You can execute any other commands as well. You can execute any other commands as well. Any doubts, guys? Any doubts? Then if you guys don't have any doubt, so I'll go ahead and show you one more tool here that is called list tables. List tables. So I'm going to display list of the tables in a specific database. I need to specify which database I want to list out. Retail underscore DB. Okay. So these are the tables are available in this. These are the tables are available in this. Okay. So this is about eval command, list databases, and list tables. Let's go ahead and see. We have executed 3 different commands. Every time I don't want to specify my connection URL, username, password. What is the other way? What is the other way it's available for me? There is something called, see, every time you don't want to give this because it's a redundant, right? Every script you don't want to give this. Why you want to type this lengthy username, password, and all those things? You can just keep it in a very short, in a specific file. You can keep all your username, password in a specific file. I'll show you how to do that. Now just create a file. So let's try to understand where you are, which directory you are. I am in my home directory, so I don't want to be in a home directory. Let's go ahead and create some mkdir slash user local. Here I'll create a Sqoop script. I'm just putting this name. So I'm not going to put any script in this. So I want to create a file in this cat. You can use greater than symbol. User local Sqoop hyphen scripts. You can specify, so connection URL. You just can specify connection URL, but the connection URL, let's say eval connection dot txt. Eval connection dot txt. Press enter. It is expecting you to type something here. I'm going to type eval. Make sure that, guys, every word, it's not every word, every thing whatever you'll put into your command, right? Like this command scoop list or something you are writing, right? You make sure that you will keep in a single line. If you start keeping I mean eval is single line, next to connection in a single line. So you make sure that you'll keep everything in a single line, otherwise it will not execute. It will give an error. Let's say hyphen hyphen connect, single line, next jdbc colon mysql colon slash slash localhost colon 3336. So you are evaluating. So whether you are evaluating you want to see specific based on the query. Okay, I'm just taking I'm not specifying a database here. So based on the requirement you will say, let's say let me define database as well. Next line, hyphen hyphen username. Next line, root hyphen password, press enter, root. You have to specify like this. You have to specify like this. So when you use the cat and greater than symbol, you have to use control D to come out. You have to use control D to come out. So check whether the data is available in this. Same, instead of greater than symbol, you just remove that. Press enter. Yes, it has eval, connection is there, username is there, password is there. Let's check whether it's working fine or not. Let's check it's working fine or not. Sqoop, there is something called options hyphen file. There is something called hyphen options hyphen file, and you need to specify the file path. You need to specify the file path. User local sqoop hyphen script and eval, then my query, my actual query. What are the query you want to see? I'm just taking simple data, simple query. See here. So now it is started working without any fail. But if you keep everything in a single line, it will not work out, guys. So please make sure that that is an I really don't know reason behind it, but it has to be in a single line. Okay. Any doubts till here? I not have shown the import. I'll show the import and I'll end the session today, and the rest of the things we can see in the next classes. Okay. I hope everyone is able to follow. It's pretty simple. You are importing the data from RDBMS to HDFS by using Sqoop tool. Sqoop is one tool who can connect to the RDBMS, who can talk to the RDBMS by using JDBC or your connection URLs, and you can fetch the data from there in a parallel fashion. Okay, so that's simple as that. So let's go ahead and do some import. So I want to import something from RDBMS to HDFS. I want to import something from RDBMS to HDFS. Let's see first what are the databases, what are the tables are there in the database. We already saw that there are some tables in the database. These are the tables. Now I want to import orders. I want to import orders. Let's look at the command for to import the orders. Sqoop import connect connect. You may say that, sir, why can't you make use of the file which you have given? So in that I have given eval, right? That's the reason I cannot make use of it, because import is different and eval is different. Okay, JDBC colon mysql colon / localhost. Either you can specify whether your port number or not, that's up to you. Retail underscore db and hyphen username is root hyphen password root and hyphen table, which table you want to import. Which table you want to import? Orders. I want to import orders. I want to import orders. So I didn't specify my destination location, and I'm not started the services, Hadoop services. If you want to make sure that, you can look it from here itself by connecting to another, or you can go ahead and log in here. You can connect, you can check here, either is fine. So in the real time we'll be using a putty, so that's why I started showing you from the putty. JPS. Okay, so JPS are not running. If I say this command, it should say that it's not connecting. No, yeah, connection refused. When you see the connection refused error, it is not able to connect, and it is, you are not able to connect to your name node service. It is failed, so it is not able to list out any data. Let's try it from our Sqoop command. What will happen is, let's see. Let's look at, guys, here. It started doing something in the background. It started generating some queries, and it started importing some supporting libraries. I'll tell why their exceptions came. Okay, and I want want to show you here. I want to show you here something. Wait. Yeah. Look at guys here. This is a command I have executed. After that, it is telling me which Sqoop version I'm running, and it's telling that it's not good to give the password in the terminal. It's insecure. So you better use a -p, capital P. So where you no need to give the password, but it will ask you to the password it'll ask you to enter the password. That is also not good idea, because while job is running automatically, so we cannot sit and give the password every time. So that will talk about that later. And there is something called code generator tool. There is something called code gen tool, the beginning code generation. It is generated a Java file. Look at guys here, and which location also I'll show that. Okay, which location also show that. That's a temporary location. The temporary location it is. And if you go and see here, and every machine will have the temporary location. Temp. It will be the name of. It will be in the name of, because my Hadoop services are not running, so I cannot show you with the Hadoop, but I can show you with this path. So if now you don't, in the temporary you don't have anything with this Hadoop, right? But you have something called Sqoop Hadoop. So you don't have anything else. Who's starting with the Hadoop? Sqoop Hadoop. This is, look at here, your orders.java, order.class file, and orders.jar file. Why it is? Because I am started importing the order file. Because I started importing orders table. That's why. Okay. So my Hadoop services are not running. The temporary location is, it does not have Hadoop. The Hadoop, the name, apart from the Sqoop-Hadoop. If I start run my Hadoop services, here it will also in the temporary location it will create. That is called, when we are talking about MapReduce, I'll clearly explain what is that. That's called intermediate data will be loaded in temporarily, but temporary purpose, then it will move. I'll show you that with the job ID, when we are discussing about the MapReduce very clearly, very detailedly. The temporary location will make use of your data nodes local memory. I can say local hard disk will be used for temporary purpose. How it will be used, why it is using. If you see configurations, in the configuration there is some configurations for the temporary configurations. Even though if you see in hdfsi.xml, there also by default not site xmls, default xmls, if for your name node and data node, they have specified temporary directories only. When you are going to do a setup, the mandatory steps are, you have to specify what is your name node directory, what is your data node directory, and where your name node service is running. Those are fewer mandatory steps I has to done. Okay, what will happen if I didn't specify the name node or data node separately? What will happen, we already discussed, because the temporary folder is, the data will be deleted automatically. So whatever the data you load into temporary, it will get deleted automatically. So that's the reason. Okay, let's go ahead and try to understand this. And it is telling that it looks like you are importing from MySQL, because I have used MySQL connected, it is understood what I'm using. And this transfer can be faster if you use direct. If you use a hyphen direct, it will use the, if it uses the MySQL's import command. MySQL is kind of a dump. MySQL also will be having its own importing mechanism. So that will, if you use hyphen direct, it will use the MySQL's import or dump kind of import statements to import the data. And option 2, this something it is telling you, for you setting the null data and behavior, something it is telling. And other part what we need to understand here, yeah, actually boundary query is not generated. The boundary query is generated once it is it is talked to your name node service. Okay, let's go ahead and start our services, then we'll execute the same command one more time. Start all -sh will be available till 2.7. Some version 3 onwards. There is no start -sh. Okay.
Veera, I have one question here. Regarding the start -all.sh. When I run this command, my name node never start. I have to start for Hadoop name node format command. then I start this command, then the name node start.
No, there is some
Why it's
problem with
like that?
your environment. So we need to look at it. You might have
Okay.
something went wrong in the configuration. That's why. It is a very common issue.
Oh, okay.
My all services are running. Just go ahead and execute the same command once again. Again, some issue. It's already exist. So I might be executed before. So all orders is already exist. Just go ahead and delete it. No? Guys, if you want to remove, you can use the complete this path also, including HDFS colon slash slash. You can use that. No problem at all. You can use HDFS colon slash slash where your name node service is running, that name node IP address colon your port number and what is the directory. It says nothing is available in it. What it has been removed. Current has been removed. I want to remove this. Let's go ahead and what happened to this? Yeah. So the path does not exist. It means that the address is not there. So let's go ahead and run it once again. It's trying to connect to the resource manager. Just trying to connect to the resource manager. Let's connect. Why it is taking this much time? It will not take. Ideally, it will not take this much time. What happened? If you look at here, how many map jobs? Number of map slots. It's called number of splits. We'll call. I'll tell what is a split. Split is a logical representation of piece of data which will process by single mapper. It's called input split actually. Split is logical representation of a piece of data which will process by single mapper or single processor. Okay, you look at here this guys. This is I want to show boundary query. Select min of order ID because it's identified. Order underscore ID is the primary key in this specific table. It find the primary key of that ID. That column, the tables column, and max, min and max which identified, and it started importing the data. It created a MapReduce job, and this is the job ID, and it started launching the job. It started launching the job, and this is Uber mode. Uber mode is false. We'll talk more about it. What is Uber mode when we are discussing about the MapReduce. Done. Very good. 68,000 records has been downloaded. 68,000 has been recorded. 68,883 records has been downloaded. 150 seconds has been taken. The time has been taken this much. Now I need to check whether the data is really imported or not. Go to your UI. I can also access from my Windows machine by specifying the IP address and port number. The problem is every time I need to enter the IP address and port number. This is your what you can say your name nodes details. I mean, I can say UI, your HDFS UI. You can go and see legacy UI because I like to see in the legacy UI because everything I can see in a single place. Even if I want, I can read the content as well. I want to go to user and user and Hadoop 1. Why user Hadoop 1? Because I have executed my current Sqoop query from this location. Home, I mean, ideally home means your home. There will be user. The Hadoop 1 is the username. Okay, so Hadoop is actually slash home, and if you're seeing username, it means that inside the home you'll be having username, and that username is nothing but this Hadoop one. Okay, so don't think why user is not showing there. It will not show the user. Your user is Hadoop, and what we have downloaded is orders. You can see the time and you can compare it. Orders has been downloaded just now. My Ubuntu mission time is showing the 16.37, 13. It means that to 4:37 in the evening. You can see here 4:35 because 2 minutes before only it has been downloaded. Open this, go inside. 4 mappers has been launched. 4 part files. 4 part files. So underscore success file represent that the job is success. Okay, 4 part files are there, and this contains nothing, guys. Underscore just is kind of a flag. Okay, and all 4 parts file has been generated. You can go ahead and have a look on this. You can go ahead and have a look on this the data. Okay, so this is about import command, and the rest of the commands we'll see in the next class. I'm really sorry for the last class because I was not because due to the work, even yesterday night also I came late to home, and today somehow I managed. Before starting, I thought to inform you guys, and I. So what his question is that why by default it's taken 4 splits. Before I explain, I think he might have joined little late. Your Sqoop uses 4 parallel process by default. 4 parallel process. So that's why the code has been designed, the 4. So why 4? I really no clue. Maybe they're in keep in the mind that everyone is using the dual core. Okay, I'll tell that. So by default your Sqoop uses the 4 mappers for 4 parallel processes. Anyway, you have a control to change it. You can go ahead and change it. Okay, why means maybe they're keeping in mind that dual core. So dual core means 2 cores. Each core can launch 2 mappers. Each core can launch 2 mappers. So that is the initial version of the Hadoop. Okay, if you guys know Hadoop version, Hadoop earlier version, it was there was something called core concept. Cores. How many cores are there? Based on the cores, those many jobs can be launched. So that is the reason they might have come up with the 4. Okay, that's my guess, guys. It may right or may not be. So it's really no matter, right, whether it's a 4 or 2, because you have a control to change it, right? Yeah. Rocky Hive, as I have I answered your question. Names looks really good. Rocky Hive. Okay. How to import 50 tables out of 100 tables? Yeah, Ramakrishna, I think today also I have seen one of our teammate, our group mate asked this question. So to answer this, as we have seen someone also answered for this writing some script. We can achieve that. So don't think that your code will be there only scripts the scoops like this. Okay, you can write this code inside the script, inside your shell script, where you can pass your table names keeping in a loop. Or as I know, I mean, I have seen some cases. I can import whole data, import all tables. I can use import all tables. I can use something called hyphen exclude. There is some option called hyphen exclude. What are the tables I want exclude? I can just specify there. I can just specify by comma separated. So it will get exclude those tables. What are the rest of the tables will be imported. That's the one option. But other option is obviously you can do anything with a script. You can do anything with a script. Okay. If you don't want to give a table name here, you can give script name like this. So the name you have to pass it from the script. Okay. That can be done. Okay. That can be possible with using script. Is that clear, Ramakrishna? Can we import data using scripts? Yes, Samir. So that's it, guys. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening and have a great or wonderful weekend. Thank you.